Welcome back, everybody. I've got a really fun video for you guys today. One of my good buddies has found that special someone, and I'm helping him make a pair of commitment rings for the two of them. So come on over here and I'll show you what he has designed up. So there's going to be a stainless body to the ring with a groove in it. We're going to fill that groove. We're going to braze in some bronze. And then we're going to do some scallops with an angled cutter. We're going to do some scallops like this and cutaway areas. And then we're going to radius the whole thing like this. So the end result will be something along the lines of this. So we've only got 20 thou to take off this diameter to get to the size we need it to be for this ring. So I've just got a really fine, pointy tool bit in there, and I'm going to touch off, go 5 thou, see what's left, and then take this basically in 2 passes. I'll see how far we have to go here. Exactly 10 thou the diameter to go here. So now we're setting up here to cut this radius in the ring. I've got my little carbide button cutter in here, and I put some marker on the end of this, and what we're going to do now is we're going to touch off, and then we're going to move over the exact amount to get centered up with our radius in the ring. So I'm not using my carriage hand wheel because it has such coarse movements that I would just go plowing into the end of this and make a mess. So I've got my split nut engaged, and I'm using my microfeed hand wheel to advance this. I'm going to start with a piece of paper because I can't really see over there when I'm working the hand wheel over here. Now I'm just going to go till I see the slightest little scratch up here. There we go. Now I've already calculated out how far I have to move the carriage to get to the center of where we want to end up being. So I just have to move that amount now. That is bang on center. I'm going to reset my 0. And now we can set up to take a plunge cut here. I'm going to be using a lot of oil on this. Chatter is definitely going to be our enemy here. Now I'm going to touch off, establish my 0. There, we're just touching. Okay, here we go. I'm going to walk this carriage back and forth just a little as I go in. Try and reduce this chatter as much as possible. I'm going to center drill this and then drill it out close to the finished size, and then we're going to bore it from there right to the finished size. I'm going to drill this out in 3 different sizes. I've got about a 1/4 inch bit and somewhere around a 3/8, and then I've got a 3/4. And we're going to drill it out now, and we're going to save the boring to the finished inside diameter until after our brazing is done, just in case there's any distortion in there. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and do that. That is our There we go. Stainless really doesn't like being machined very much. There's our next size of drill. And finally, here's our 3/4 inch bit. The radius groove is done, and so now the friend that I mentioned before that I was making the ring for, he's the resident expert brazier around here, so let's see what he can do with this. Here we are all brazed up. Let's see how she cleans up in the lathe. First, we're going to wire wheel some of this excess flux off of here so that it runs nice and true in the lathe.
No, she's running pretty good. There's no way to tell how it's doing out here because there's so much crud buildup on there. Okay, we've got some bronze to get through here. So we've got the depth set on our boring bar. Going to touch off, take a minimum skim, see where we're at, and bring this thing to size. I want to leave a little for Emery here. So 10.5 to go. See where we're at. This is an arbor that I made off camera to hold the ring on while we do the milling and grinding work on it. There we go. Nice snug fit. It pops when you pull it out. Cool. Well, let's dress this face up here, see if we can't get that back to, get all that flux off of there, get that face back where it belongs. So what I've done, I've disengaged my quick change gearbox so that my lead screw doesn't spin. I'm engaging my split nut, and I'm going to use my fine feed hand wheel over here to bring that in very, very slowly, one little thou at a time. Because we don't want to take material off here, we just want to find the actual face. So one thou at a time until we see stainless. I think that's her. Yeah. This will all come out with when we radius it. That's good. Call that done. Give that the slightest little deburr on the edge there. All right, I'm going to, well, I know the ID works. This is what it's supposed to do. Yeah, that works. OD is supposed to be 0.98. Oh, that's right. I guess it's time to part this guy off. Well, we're all set up here. I'm going to part this off now. And I just want to fine tune this depth because the drawing says we want this to be 275 thou. And if you look here on my dial, on my calipers, first time around we hit the 275. I'm going to try it a few more times, make sure that repeats, and then we will part this off. Sweet. Pretty nice finish for parting. Pretty happy with that. So I figured I'd spare you guys the tediousness of dialing off this arbor that's holding this ring into this 4-jaw chuck. That's all done now for us. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get the spindle centered over top of the ring so that we're cutting on center.
For those that aren't aware, this is called an edge finder. It allows you to, well, literally find an edge. It wiggles and wiggles less and less and less, and when it's there, it pops out. And that's how you know where your edge is, relative to the center of your spindle.
We're all set up here to cut these scallops in, and I'll show you on our little drawing what I'm talking about. We're cutting these features into the ring right now. And we're going to have two setups, one to do the first side and then later one to do the second side. So you can see in here, we've got our angled cutter and we've touched it off. And now we're going to start cutting. This is our last cut on the first setup, on the first side. And you can see here what effect we've actually been creating all the way around as we go. So I understand this does look a wee bit goofy, but we're having to center the scallops on the second side to the ones on the first side by eye. As goofy as these look, they're pretty handy. Well, we've worked our way almost all the way around on the second side, and we're down to our last scallop to put in there. We're almost all the way around on our second side putting these scallops in. We've got one left to do, and we're just going to go ahead and index to our next position now. That's her. Here's where we're at so far. You can see we're pretty much looking like this drawing. The one thing left to do now is to put this radius here onto the top of this ring this way. So we're going to set up now, and we're going to do that in the KOLE tool and cutter grinder. Now I'm going to set up the KOLE tool and cutter grinder, and we're going to grind that radius on the ring that we talked about just a second ago.
So this is a bit of a process. We're going to be using our radius grinding fixture, and it has to be dialed in with its ways true to the ways of the tool and cutter grinder. So there's a bit of a process there. And once we get that all dialed in, then we're going to be putting our motorized work head on top of that, and its center line, its spindle, has to be dialed in true to the radius grinding fixture, which is also true to the tool and cutter grinder's ways. And so you'll see this is a bit of a process, and it's going to go on for a bit of a while here. And now I'm centering the fixture itself to the grinding wheel, which is a pretty important step. Now I'm going to mount the motorized work head onto the radius grinding fixture, and it's a bit of a pain in the ass to get that on there, but once I do, we'll dial it in and get it running true to everything else. So I warned you this would take a little bit to get done, but now I'm just dialing the ring itself in according to the center of the rotation of this whole fixture, and so I can get the 3/8 inch radius I want and have it also centered on the ring. So that's what I'm doing here.